Oh, that's okay. Hello, hi. I can see that chat. No problem. I just wondered where you were up to in terms of this unit, your understanding of this unit. So we're at various different places. So I think what's going to be helpful is I'm going to go almost back to the beginning and talk through what the requirements of this unit are, but also what are some of the specifics of what needs to be done when. Let me just share my screen. So this is the process. So at the end of during your induction, which was a while back now, but during your induction, you will have talked about doing the self-assessment. So completing a self-assessment, and that is looking at those 15 assessment criteria and evaluating where you're up to. Okay, so there is a template for that, and that's on the hub, and that really needs to be done now. So as soon as possible. Once you have done that, I would like you to share that with me. And the reason I'd like to share that with me, because it needs to be realistic in terms of what you hope to achieve over the next 12 months. But it needs to be very specific as well. So make sure that you're covering what you need to for each of those assessment criteria. The second task is throughout the program, so all the way through while the other units are being delivered, there will be sessions with me which will cover each of the key topics, the learning outcomes for this unit, which are around ethics, making an impact, learning and decision making. All the time that's going on, you will also be doing task 2, which is keeping a learner journal. So making a note of all of your CPD activity and also writing notes within your portfolio guide, your rough outline, so that you can make notes of what you've done and you're keeping track of how that relates to the assessment criteria. And then once that is done, you will share that completed document with me, and I will then give you your final assessment task. So 6 criteria, which will be refined and submitted. So there's those 3 tasks, and task 3 you really don't need to worry about now. You just need to be thinking about completing task 1 and being on top of task 2. Okay. So in terms of I'm just going to click through some slides to make sure that you're aware of. Here we are, that's better. And I'll share that again. So on the hub is the learning plan. So it's there as a PDF, and you can convert that into a Word document, but I believe there is a Word document on there as well already converted. Now, for every assessment criteria, all 15 of them, you should have a completed learning plan. So within that, what you're completing is, what's my starting point and what's the explanation of that? So why? If you're going to give yourself a 3, why have you given yourself a 3? Now, from that, what is your development objective? So what do you need to do to improve in that area? Now, in terms of where you might find out how you need to improve, where might you look? So having a look at that one, to be able to demonstrate curiosity and a passion for deep learning, where might you look to find what your development activities need to be? How are you going to set yourself a development activity? Okay, so what does a passion for learning look like?
I think the development comes through attending events, reading books or articles, or going through the topic itself, Googling the idea, I think, and the day-to-day practice at work, I think.
Yeah, I think definitely you can get some evidence for that, doing that. But in terms of the development activities, I would kind of want a bit more of an smart objective, something which is really clear. In terms of what we're looking at here, I'm just going to share this, jump onto here. This whole unit, the whole unit is really about the core behaviours on the CIPD map. So it's about demonstrating behaviours. So within this, we need to be thinking about, well, what does it mean then? So passion for learning, well, what does passion for learning mean? Well, according to CIPD, demonstrating curiosity, making the most of opportunity to learn, improve and innovate. Okay, great. So at your level, which is chartered member level, this level here, can you see that one? Can you demonstrate that you connect with internal and external peers to regularly benchmark, share good practice, anticipate future trends and inform future priorities and practice? If you can already do that, then that won't be a development objective. But if you can't already evidence that, that might be a development objective for assessment criteria 8. Yeah, passion for learning. Do you already pursue opportunities to test insight, develop new approaches and innovate? If not, then that needs to be a development objective. How do you enable your own and others' continuous professional development using a range of methods? So how are you supporting others' people's CPD as well as your own? So beyond the programme, what else are you doing? What other methods are you doing? How are you able to reflect on your experience, seek feedback and apply your learning? So an example of that might be when you submit your work to Oakwood, how are you then applying your learning from the feedback that you receive? What ways are you going to do that? Are you going to be able to keep a journal on that? Are you going to seek further feedback to say, okay, I've received the feedback and I've passed, but I need to understand how well I did in this area or that area? How are you developing a deep understanding of yourself and your impact on others and the limits of your own expertise? So have you, for example, already completed the CIPD self-assessment tool? Do you know where your strengths and weaknesses lie? Are you able to reflect on those accurately? Okay, just going to pause there for a minute. So that first task that you're asked to do, the self-assessment, is really quite a big task. It's quite a lot to it, because what it is, it's about being able to clearly demonstrate your current competency and having the confidence, the professional courage to know what you don't know. Okay, and that's why it's quite a big thing to do this unit. It's hard because what you're doing is you're saying, I'm exposing myself. I'm going to say, actually, I don't think I'm very good at that. I don't think I do that to the level that CIPD tell me I need to. And from that, then you can have clear development objectives and activities that are associated with that, so that you can, by the end of the programme, demonstrate that you're working at a strategic level on all of those behaviours. So for every one of the assessment criteria, you will find within the core behaviours an associated behaviour. Okay, so ethical. Most of learning outcome 1 is around ethical practice. So what do we expect at your level for ethical practice? Being able to make responsible decisions by considering different ethical perspectives. Okay, how can you evidence that? What examples might you seek to develop over the next 12 months? Where can you put yourself in a position where you need to consider different ethical perspectives? Coaching and influencing managers and leaders to consider the implications of their decisions on stakeholders. So where do you currently do that? Can you do more of that? Unless you're able to evidence each one of these clearly now, then they become development objectives. Okay. Any questions on that self-assessment activity? Cool. Any thoughts on the self-assessment activity? Anne.
Actually, Dr. Madeline, I have a question in terms of the journaling. So will the journals be linked to the assessment criteria, or is it like a general journal recording activity? And do we need to kind of attach it to the portfolio by the end? So how does it go?
Okay, but just before we move on, so task 1 is the self-assessment. Yeah, everybody happy with that? Task 1, self-assessment. You cannot submit until that is absolutely complete and signed off by me. That's the first point. And then we move on to the journal. Yeah, so let me just go on to the hub. So within the unit workbook, you have the learning plan, which is your self-assessment, task 1. Once all of this is complete, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, there is then task 2A, which is the learner journal. Now, you can have this however you want. I put this into a table, but you might want to have it on an Excel spreadsheet. It might be in note form, however it might be. This needs to document your CPD all the way through the program. Okay, now you'll have your dates on there, but then you particularly need, what did you do? So I've given an example here so you can see what I mean. I attended an online seminar about diversity and inclusion. Why did I do it? Because I need to better understand how I can challenge bias and create better EDI policies. What did I learn from this? Okay, in this case, I learned that although we're tackling conscious bias, we're not addressing unconscious bias. How will I, or how have I used this? So I've said, okay, I'm going to undertake a review because I'm not sure we're really being as good as we think we are. So what does it link to now? It links to ethical practice, valuing people, working inclusively, which is assessment criteria 1, 3, and 4. Okay, and you will do that for every piece of CIPD that you do. So what do we mean by CPD? CPD, so it will be, yes, you'll have every unit on here, but you'll also have any time that you have a professional mentoring conversation or coaching conversation, you'll have your annual review on there. You'll have training events that you may attend, any online seminars that you attend, any additional reading that you've done in addition to the normal unit reading, any things where you've tried something new and you've reflected on it. What's your reflections on this? What did you do and what was the outcomes of that? So this will be a very long document by the end of your program. I would recommend that you set yourself a date once or twice a month to fill in the blanks, because I think it's unrealistic to try and remember it all at the end. So actually it makes sense for you to say, okay, well, on the 15th of every month, I'm going to put in as many activities as I can so that you've got plenty of evidence there of your CPD activities over the course of the program. Okay. At the end of your program, or actually through the program, so 2A is the journal and 2B is your portfolio notes. And this is where you're putting in some outline answers to some of these assessment criteria. So you're giving me a specific example. And it's very much like when we're doing a competency-based interview. give me an example of when you critically assessed different ethical standpoints on people practice and demonstrated high ethical standards. Okay, and you will give me a situation, what the task was, what your action was, and what the result was. You'll link it to evidence and you'll link it to theory. And so you're filling in this as you're going throughout the year over the course of the programme. And once all of this is complete, after a year, you will then share it with me and we will agree your submission window. Okay, that is the process that we expect people to follow so that they have this really great expanse of time to collect evidence and reflect on what they're learning. Okay, that means that you will be adding in things as and when we've covered them. So if you're coming to the sessions with me, so for example, I've got one in a couple of weeks' time, which is on, I think it's making an impact. I can't actually remember, but say the next one's making an impact. After the making an impact one, you might then think to yourself, right, okay, which is this business outcomes. You might think to yourself, okay, well, have I already got examples of that? Or do I need to go back to my learning plan, think about what challenges I set myself, what my areas of development were, and then go and make sure I've completed them? Yeah, so you'll have points throughout your program where I will be checking in with you on how you're doing on each of these areas to make sure that you are able to discuss how business acumen can deliver commercial benefits and manage resilience. Yeah. What examples have you got of how you delivered, I'll get my words out, delivered commercial benefits whilst managing resilience? Yeah. So your final submission will follow generally this format. Where were you when you started? Where are you now? What did you do to get from that initial score to the current score? Give me an example. So tell me exactly what the situation was. What was your task? What did you personally have to do? What actions did you personally take? And what was the outcome of that? Okay, and then what evidence have you got to demonstrate and to prove that you've improved in this area? What theories does this specifically link to? And as a result of this improvement, what will you now do next?
Actually, this is a little bit confusing because Felicity in the beginning, she told us that we will not share the self-assessment nor the journal. They will not be reviewed. So now we will do the work all over again. So
why would you do it all over again?
Because the journal is bits and pieces everywhere. It's not in a format. And actually, I did not do the self-assessment. I jumped to the document itself, to the criteria, to the research, and sharing my experience every once in a while explaining the criteria. So we will redo. I will start from the beginning again. I will try to organize what I did.
Yeah, I mean, this learning, this self-assessment is absolutely critical because you can't. This unit is about demonstrating your professional development. So you have to be able to evidence that you took a temperature check at the beginning, and that will need to go. It will need to go in your submission. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I understand now, but this was not shared in the beginning, I guess.
Okay, it's in the assessment brief. So it's in that learner assessment brief that's been that you've all had. So that's the original learning plan that was there. Oh, scrolling. Yeah, within here. So at the start of the program, you carry out your self-assessment. and then you do your learning journal, and then you do your final submission. It is only this one that gets submitted, the final task, which the 6 criteria. But you do need to be able to make sure that you can submit your learning journal and your self-assessment with your final submission, because you've got to be able to evidence that you've done it.
Yes, I understand now. Thank you.
No problem. I'll just stop sharing that a minute. Okay, anybody else got any questions where in terms of the process that I'm asking you to follow? Because what I'm understanding is it didn't come through clearly enough last time, and there hasn't been any reiteration of it, or well, there has, but you haven't had an opportunity to read it. So am I very clear now on what this process is? So what you're expected to do right now is a self-assessment, and that has to be completed, and I will give you feedback on that. And then you need to do some activities, which is what goes into your journal and goes into your portfolio notes, which is task 2. And right now, don't worry about task 3, because until I've seen you've done those 2 things, you won't be ready to submit for task 3. Marianne, thumbs up from you, thank you. Okay, Abdullah, I'm aware that obviously this is probably sounds like all brand new to you. Is it making sense in terms of the process?
Yes, Madeleine, I'm just catching up few things. Yeah, it will be almost the same, Layan and Mariam queries, but things get more clearer now. But I'm sure there are a lot of things to be clarified. But I will try to catch up with the materials I have, so I can get more ready for clarifications.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it just needs to go in, and you need to think it through.
Yeah,
I think that the most important thing to do, Abdullah, is to read the enhanced study plan. So the study guide that's on the hub, read that and understand that, and just any questions, just get in touch straight away, and I will answer them very quickly. I don't want anybody to feel that they're in the dark on this. What the important thing for me is that actually, if that learning plan is completed and completed well, then you're fine, because actually you've got that, and that's directing your eyes and your thinking about different activities, and actually the rest will just come over time. It's a real shame that learners have not been clear on what that process was, because I don't want you to feel that you've had wasted effort and wasted time. But I hope you can see from the way I've explained it is that actually the benefit of this unit is that it's what you're doing as a people professional anyway. You should be engaging in continuous professional development. You should be seeking new ways of learning and growing and sharing your knowledge. And the way that you evidence that, it will be over time, rather than saying actually you've done it all now. It would be highly unlikely that you would have evidence for all of those assessment criteria now, because if you did, then why would you be doing the level 7 program? Why would you need to do the level 7 program? If already you've got all of those things are absolutely brilliant, then there wouldn't be any need to do the program. So that's the only thing I would say, Layan, is that it's something to reflect on, that actually, although you've put all of that work in, actually is that work more appropriately directed towards the self-assessment task? And actually now you've got that, you can be really clear on what your CPD is for the next 12 months, rather than looking to submit in March, And then actually, well, where does your CPD go from there? How are you going to then manage that and document that?
So personally, Madeline, what I did, I did the assessment criteria basically to see where I was standing back then, which was when we first got the unit introduced, which was in September. So personally, for me, since I'm working in a very small organization and things are wide dynamic, you feel like 1 month is a year for us, honestly. In terms of changes, growth, post-pandemic, what's happening. Even I'm in constant contact with my manager, who's also my mentor in that case. Just today, I told him, honestly, it's January, but I feel that we went already through a lot, which I personally feel that's the positive aspect in working in a very small organization in comparison to big organizations. So it gives you the opportunity to experience a lot and to see exactly where you want to develop, where you want to see yourself in the future. Do I want to stay really in that organization? Do I want to go and do some international assignments and then come back? Do I want to go to a big organization? So I started to think of these things when I was doing my assessment criteria, because again, assessing yourself is not an easy task. So honestly, personally, I would say maybe this would help others. It kind of opened your eyes on different things that you didn't even notice. So I started to be in that mode to see exactly how these assessment criteria would kind of shape myself, where I'm now and where do I want to head and what I'm currently doing. Because you would see what I saw personally. There are some things which I changed from, I would say, from I first started in September, because again, maybe I told that to the previous instructor. I came back from my maternity leave on September. I started my CIPD and I'm back to work. So that's a kind of drastic shift for me, and managing my CIPD and the baby and work. So it's kind of not easy task. However, doing my best. So I think I do have like handful content to kind of expand on, maybe also to take your advice. That would be amazing. To have kind of directed feedback, I would say that would be lovely. Maybe we could draft in some time as what we have with the other units. So maybe that on side note, maybe I can arrange it with you, Dr. Madeline, on when we can have our one-to-one maybe session to see what's my current status, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely, no problem. Let me see if I can put this straight into here. Hopefully I can. There we go. I've just put into the chat my link for booking in a 20-minute meeting with me. You can book in a meeting anytime you like, so long as it's free in my diary. You book it in. And all I ask is that whatever it is that you want me to review, you send it to me with at least 24 hours notice, so I've got time to read it before our meeting. And this goes for everybody. You've got as many meetings as me realistically as you need. I would say that you should have at least one meeting to discuss your self-evaluation. You will need at least another one meeting to talk about progress, so about halfway through the program. And then you'll need at least another one to sign off your learning portfolio and for me to tell you that you're ready from submission window. And then another meeting for me to review your draft of your final submission. So I would say for each of you, you probably want at least one meeting a quarter with me on this unit alone. And then of course, we've got the research module as well. So you'll be seeing a lot of me, but that's fine. That's good, because I get to know you and I get to know what your experience is and where you're up to. So what I would say, Lyanne, is book in a meeting with me as soon as you like, get your draft over to me, and then we can have a proper look at where you're up to and what we think is realistic in terms of whether or not you're ready to submit or submit soon, or whether or not actually it's a pause and do it later. And we can have a discussion of where we're up to. I would say same for you, Marianne. I mean, it makes sense to go back to the beginning and have a look at that self-assessment again, because without, you're going to need that to submit anyway, because you have to demonstrate to be able to show where your development is. But again, book a one-to-one with me and we can go through it. Abdullah, Beda, same thing. If it's useful, you know, I think that's probably the best approach, is to have a shorter meeting, but a very focused meeting just with me, just looking at your work and where you're up to. I would say try and get the self-assessment done first, so that we've got something to talk through, because actually that gives me an idea of where you're up to. And obviously it's part of that, you'll need to have done the self-assessment tool on the CIPD website. You'll have need to review the professional standards for your level on CIPD, and that then will give you a benchmark of actually where you are in comparison with where CIPD think you need to be for those behaviours. Okay, good. Okay. We've got a couple of choices now. We can either, I'm happy to go through each of the assessment criteria and just talk about them in a bit more detail, but equally, if you would like to, we can call it a day there and we can book in for one-to-one. Seeing as just quite a small group, it might be a better use of all of our time rather than me go through the assessment criteria, for us to book in and have one-to-ones. What do you think?
I think that's more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the others, because we had a walkthrough detailed in terms of the assessment criteria for 2 sessions. So now I believe the tailored advice would be really helpful in that.
Okay, well, let's do that then. Let's pause for today, and if we can, rather, because we're at different stages, and it's always difficult when we're at different stages to try, one size never fits all, does it? So let's pause for today. Better use of our time is if you then can all book in with me for a one-to-one. Please send me where you're up to first. Okay, so I need to see. I can't give feedback on fresh air. So if you've got specific questions, send those to me. There's a place where you can write it in when you book, but if not, whatever you've got, wherever you're up to, send that to me so that I can review that and then give you feedback in our session of where you're up to. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Madeline.
You're very welcome. Okay, so you're good, Marianne. You're good, Liane. Sorry, Abdullah. You're okay. Bada, can you just let me know in the chat? Is that okay with you that we're going to just book in for those one-to-ones?
I can answer on behalf of him. Yes, okay.
Fabulous. I wasn't going to go, otherwise I was just going to stay and wait.
Just Madeline, one question. I'm trying to navigate in the hub about the, let me say, the slides. I couldn't find the same slide you have. So just, can you ensure it is there? Okay,
of course I can. Let me just show you, let me just walk you through the navigation from my point, or from your point of view. So we're on here. Let me now show you, let me show you as a learner. So within content, and on the personal effectiveness unit, within here, you have got the session slides.
okay.
And session 1 and then 2, these are the different learning outcomes. Okay, so session 1 slides was that overview. The really important page within this is the study guide and workbook. So within here, you've got the learner assessment brief, the full study guide, the unit workbook, which has got those templates, and also the CIPD student briefing, which you would have seen before. And okay?
Yeah, now previously it wasn't appear to me. I think because of the network or something. Now it's okay, clear.
Yeah, great,
Thank you
good.
so much.
As long as you can see, as long as you can see what I see, that's all we need.
Yeah.
Wonderful, great. And I've just had a notification that someone's booked in, so that's good. The link works clearly.
So let us see, Madeline, when it will be fine to meet, and of course we'll book you at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, so long as it's the slots. If the slots flip free in my diary, I'm available. You book in.
Yeah.
So long as you send me then wherever you're up to. So I would say in your case, Abdullah, try and get that self-assessment done so that I can see where you're up to on that, and then book in for a meeting with me. If I haven't heard from you in a while, or you're not booked in, I will probably chase you because I just want to make sure that everybody is getting on with what they need to for the unit. It's just a case of little and often on this, and you'll get there pretty quickly by the end.
I will be frank that I'm worried about you because I think I will chasing you more than you. Yeah. So
Don't you
no
worry.
worries.
Don't worry. It's what I'm here for. It's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. As I say, my number one rule is I can't give you feedback on fresh air. So you have to send me work in order for it to have a meeting with me. And that means, generally speaking, that focuses everybody's minds, Abdullah. I don't get chased too much because you've got to produce something before you can meet with me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So I have
Okay.
no more things to say from us.
Okay, brilliant. Well, in that case, then that was a short but hopefully sweet session, and getting everybody sort of teed up and thinking along the same lines. But also, you know, I am here. Just drop me an email if you want to speak to me, if you need to speak to me, and I will see you all in a one-to-one soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Madeline.
All right,
And thank you for the team.
Take care.
All the best. Have a nice day ahead.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.